everybody. This evening, as we see the news all throughout the world, United States of America is attacking in Yemen on the Red Sea. We have for you a very special teaching, an introduction of some sort to my new book, The Fall of Edom-Decoding Ovadiah, the prophet. I hope that everybody will go today and order this important book. Next week, in January 20 and 21st, Saturday and Sunday, there will be a special yeshiva in Las Vegas that everybody should be attending to come in with me into decoding the last days. Friends, this is not a gimmick. I am telling you something. We have never released a book like this. Never. Even not the Return of the Kosher Pig have this type of prophetic insight as what you're about to get in the Fall of Edom. Order it today. Sign up for the yeshiva. We have to understand the signs of the time. We have to understand Edom, and we have to understand what we must do in those days ahead. This shiur today, without a doubt, is significant and important for all of us to understand. So join in, jump in with me. Let's go inside, friends, and please share the word about the fall of Edom. Without a doubt, it's going to be something that will shake in your view, not just of the Mashiach, but of Satan himself. God bless you. Let's enter in. And I'm going to be touching on some things I talked about earlier, but I want to talk about them today in a messianic context, diving just a little bit deeper into you, maybe give you a little bit introduction also for what is coming up in the Fall of Edom. When we look at prophecy and when we understand prophecy, we have to understand that the Mosaic Exodus story, the story of Parashat Shmot, of Sefer Shmot, Parashat Shmot, Parashat Bo, that is going to become, all the way to Yitro, which is Exodus 20, are the most messianic passages in the Bible because they give us a blueprint for how the Geulah is going to be coming to the world. It's a blueprint for any Geulah. Any redemption is based upon the first 20 chapters of the book of Exodus. Now, when we talk about Geulah, you need to have two things for Geulah. You need to have people who need to receive a Geulah. In essence, we say Nibu Nigalin, meaning people who are going to be redeemed, but you also need a Goel, meaning a redeemer. You need both. You cannot have a Goel without the people who are needing Geulah. Now, every time that there is a need for Geulah, it means that there is some trouble. That's why even this time of the plagues that we're reading about, and in Parashat Bo next week, those are times that are mirroring the time of Jacob trouble that we're in right now. We are already inside this time. Now, I want to talk about the portrait of the Goel itself, the Redeemer itself. You heard me speaking quite a bit about it this morning. But I want us to look at some things that are very important. Because, of course, if you recall back to the day of the return of the kosher pig, I already explained to you that Moshe Chai in Gematria 363 is equal to the word Hamashiach, the Mashiach. Moshe is a picture of the Mashiach. If we want to understand, right, Moshe is Shiloh, for example, in Gematria. If we want to understand the picture of the Messiah and who is the Messiah, what we have to do is to look at the life of Moshe. Now, the rabbi is telling us some things that are concealed. They are hidden and they are not clear about Moshe. There are several things we have to consider. I like to start this discussion for a few moments with you. Today, sure, I don't want it to be very long. I want it to be very direct and to the point. There is a connection between Shir Hashirim 2:9 to Moshe. Listen to what it says. Let's read together. My beloved is like a gazelle. Rabbi Itzhak Omer. The congregation of Israel said to the Holy One, blessed be He, Master of the universe. You said to us, come, come. You come to us first. My beloved is like a gazelle. Just as a gazelle appear and then is hidden, appear and then hidden, so to the first Redeemer, Moses, appear who was obscure and then will appear again. And then the Hebrew adding another verse, another one, and it says, the Goel Ha'acharon nigla lahem v'chozer v'nichsa mehem. The last Redeemer revealed to him, he will come back and he will reveal himself. This concept that the Goel Redeemer reveal himself and appear and then he cover himself and then he's coming back again to reveal himself is in the very concept of Geulah. You have to understand the concept of a second coming of a concealed Mashiach is in the very, very core of understanding redemption. The concept of a second coming that is in openness is not a Christian concept, not at all. And here in Shir HaShirim Rabbah, we see it in the Midrash. And we have to understand what it means. It means that the Mashiach, whoever the Mashiach right now in the world, one thing we have to say by definition, he already had to be here before. He had to be revealed to us in the past and for a limited time, and he are going to have to be revealed himself again. Who is it, the one who has been here in the past and now is about to reveal himself again? Is somebody like Moshe. Now think about it and remember, Moshe Rabbeinu was with his own people. He fled, he covered himself, and then he returned back as a king of some sort to take over, to fight against Pharaoh, which is a picture of Hasatan himself. And in the new book, I will speak about this a lot, so that you guys will see some stunning parallels that perhaps you have not seen before. So I want you to think about this and to remember what I am telling you right now. Now, listen to what it says in Midrash Lekach Tov. It says, Amar Elazar ba Abuna, Im raita malchiyot mitgarot zo bazo, צפה לרגליו של המלך המשיח, מלך משיח. Rabbi Bar Abuna says, if you see kingdom, meaning nations, provoke each other except to see the feet of King Mashiach. You have to understand something that is important that is happening right now in the world in the context of what we are talking about. All those wars that you are seeing right now, all the rumors of wars and the wars that you are seeing right now is the premier sign that this Moses is about to come again. This is a sign for us that he's about to return anytime. But the Mashiach is resemble a gazelle. Sometimes it's come closer, sometimes it's go farther, but ultimately it's going to come back. And here is the question that I want you to think about. What will cause him to show his face and come ultimately not closer, but come into the midst of the house of Israel? Again, this is an important question that all of us have to ask ourselves in the last days. What will cause him to return? Okay, we are going to look at that today together, and we're going to try to answer this question together with you. Now, the answer is found in the identity of the Mashiach. If we understand the identity of the Mashiach, we can indeed answer this question. So let's look for a moment at the parasha, as there's a great concealed secret that is found within the word of the parasha. In the book of Shemot 2:10, a verse I spoke about a little bit earlier, I want us to look at this verse one more time together. It says, Vayigdal hayeled, ותביאו לבת פרעה, ויהי לה לבן, ותקרא שמו משה, ותאמר, כי מן המים משתיהו. When the child grew up, she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, who made him her son. She named him Moses, explaining, I drew him out of the water. First of all, we have to understand how Judaism interprets this verse. They said that this verse of the drawing of the child inside to Egypt is the key to understanding Messiah. There are two questions that you have to ask yourself. Why did they put the child into the Nile? After all, the Nile was in the middle of the most dangerous place. It wouldn't make sense to put the child into the Nile because the decree that King Pharaoh had. Why is it that the child was put into the Nile is an important question that we have to ask ourselves. Question number 2, what does it mean when the text says that the child grew? What is this growing mean? Again, all of this is a picture of the final Geulah. It's a picture of the coming of the Mashiach. Remember what I am telling you this, because today our main text is going to be in Shemot Rabbah, and I want to show you something from Exodus Rabbah that will be stunning to all of us, and then we will find the solution and understanding why it's happened the way it's happened. It seems like they sent Moses into the lion den, but there is a lot of wisdom inside of it, and you will understand it today, Bezrat Hashem. Now look with me at what it says in Shemot Rabbah. Pay close attention, because this is perhaps one of the most stunning understanding that we can receive about who Yeshua is today. Again, it's a picture of the second Moses. Listen to this. The child grew. She nursed him for 24 months. And you say the child grew? Rather, it was that he was growing in a manner that it was atypical inside the land. She brought her to Pharaoh's daughter. Pharaoh's daughter was kissing. Pharaoh's daughter was hugging, loving him, though he was her own son, and would not take him out of the king's palace. Listen to this, because he was beautiful. Everybody desired to see him, and everyone who saw him would not leave him. He was like a magnet. Pharaoh would kiss him. Pharaoh would hug him, and he would take Pharaoh's crown and place it on his own hand, as he was destined to do that when he was growing older. Are you hearing what the Midrash is telling us? This child has a magnetic personality to him that everybody adored him, everybody revered him, everybody loved him. And the Midrash telling us that even as a little baby, he used to take Pharaoh crown and put it in the head, and everybody were laughing, saying, oh, how cute this little child is. But the rabbi is telling us it is a prophecy of what the child is about to do. And what was that child about to do? Is to destroy the kingdom of Egypt. You have to understand what the kingdom of Egypt represents. The kingdom of Egypt is a name for all the exile, right? We have 4 exile. We have the Babylonian and the Persian and the Greek and the kingdom of Edom, the 4th exiles. That represents a time that the Jewish people are under yoke and under oppression, a time when Satan ruling the Jewish people. That's what it represents. Now, please understand what I am about to tell you. The exile of Egypt is an all-encompassing name for all of those exiles. It's like, call it the root of all exile, the father prototype of all exile. That's the way we should think about Egypt. Today we are still under the yoke of Egypt because in some way King Messiah is yet to return and fulfill everything that was promised to us. So we can look at this time of Egypt as a time like we are today. We are still in bondage into the world. And if you can see it also physically, right now, you should know that the United States of America control what Israel does. It's the truth. For example, Israel is doing right now what Israel should be doing because we are listening into the principalities of the world. Why? Because we are under the yoke of the nations. So I want you to understand that now. The interesting thing here is when Moshe Rabbeinu was put into the Nile, and he's drifting down the Nile, and he's brought into the kingdom of Egypt, he was brought according to the rabbis with a purpose. There was a purpose in bringing him. And the purpose in bringing him into the kingdom of Egypt is not to become the son of Egypt, but rather to destroy Egypt from the inside out. But in order to destroy Egypt, the spiritual force of Avodah Chazara, which later on is the force in the Acharit Hayamim of the adversary itself, he had to become one of them on what's called Chitzoniyut. Notice his pnimiyut is in Chitzoniyut, meaning in his externality. Where was Moses ever an Egyptian? No, he was never, ever really an Egyptian in his pnimiyut. Never. But in his Chitzoniyut, he was an Egyptian. You see, and that's something you have to understand about King Mashiach, like Moses. King Mashiach has to become a Christian. Why? Because there is a force in the world that had to be removed. And in order to remove this force, he has to become identified with this force. The best example I can give you is what's happening right now in Israel. We have groups right now inside Gaza. They call them Mistarvim. They are groups who are dressed like Gazan, speak Arabic, and they are there truly is undercover to find the hostages and destroy from within the cell of terror called Hamas, Satan himself. Nothing changed. God's plan stayed the same. Now listen carefully now for the word of the Midrash. How the Midrash, this is a great secret, friends. And if you take this hermeneutical method that the last redemption resemble the first redemption, you will take this with great seriousness, what I'm sharing with you today. Listen to what the Midrash says. Let's continue. It says, likewise, the Holy One, blessed be he, said to Hiram, I have drawn fire from within you, from inside of you. Yechezkel 28:18. And likewise, Pharaoh's daughter was raising the one who was destined to exact retribution from her father. Now listen to this. In the future, the Messianic king, too, who is destined the exact retribution from Edom, reside with them in the same country, as it is stated. There the calf will gaze, and there it will lie and consume its branches. Oh my goodness. Our rabbis of Israel are telling us the exact same thing about the Mashiach. the Mashiach have to follow the path of Moses. And notice something. He is loved and he is revered in this kingdom that called Egypt. And Chazal says Egypt is equal Edom. Edom have another name, Esav. If you flip the letter of Esav, you get the name Yeshua. The greatest lie in human history today is the lie of Yeshua. Yeshua does not belong to Egypt. Yeshua does not belong to the church. When he is away, he belongs to them. But that's not his permanent home. His permanent home is when he is returning to reveal himself and join himself to the children of Israel and to ultimately redeem them. Now, the question that we have to ask ourselves, which side are we going to be in this moment? Will we be lined up with the people who is coming to redeem, or we will think that he is coming for us? No, he's not coming for you. He is coming for Jacob and to everybody who is associated with Jacob. I want to make it clear to everybody today. When Yeshua returning, he's coming back for the Jewish people. And for those who associate themselves with the Jewish people, he ain't coming to any church to rapture it and to take it to heaven. Get this idiotic idea out of your mind. When he is returning like a gazelle, he is returning to the Jewish people. Period. We should know the truth because it's already been prophesied about this. The Messianic king is coming to do a retribution against the country who loved him. If so many Jewish people are going to be destroyed in those last days, just imagine what is going to take place and what is going to happen to the church in those days. I know this is not a popular message. I cannot go and give those messages into the church, but this is the truth. It's the truth. He is resemble an Edomite today because the Edomite and Egypt are equivalent. That's what Chazal is telling us. Edom is Esav. Esav is Yeshua. He is coming back as Yeshua. He is not coming back as Jesus Christ. He is not coming back just as the Son of God. He is coming back as the Son of Israel. And the day of his return are imminent. And in those days, it doesn't matter how much you revere him. It doesn't matter how much song you sing to him. It doesn't matter if you do not know him as Yeshua in this day. And if you do not align with Jacob, woe to you. Woe to you. What an amazing prophecy it is. Shmot Rabbah continue and explain to us what took place in Egypt. He says, the magician of Egypt, they knew, they were not stupid. They were sitting there and said, we are afraid of this one who takes your crown and place it on his head. Let it be one regarding whom we said that he is destined to wrest your kingdom from you. They knew that. Amazing. Some of them said to behead Moses. Some of them said burn Moses. Yitro was sitting in their midst, and he was saying to them, this boy has no intelligence. Rather, test him. Bring him before the bowl with gold and hot coal. If he extend his hand to the gold, he has an intelligence, and you should execute it. And if he extend his hand to the coal, he has no intelligence, and he had no sentence of death. Immediately they brought before him the two bowls, and he extended his hand to take the gold. Gabriel came and pushed his hand. He seized the gold and placed his hand with the coal into his mouth, and his tongue was burned. From that moment, he became slow of speech and slow of tongue. Now, we have to understand all of this in light of prophecy. All of this is prophetic. And here the Maharal of Prague, in Gvurat Hashem, is explaining to us the connection of Mashiach to Edom, to Esav. And this is a matter that is so deep that each and every one of you will have to go to Hashem and ask God to explain it to you and reveal it to you today. Listen to what it says in Gvurat Hashem chapter 5. הדבר הזה מופלא מאוד למבינים. Meaning, the matter of Moses growing out and birthing in a Pharaoh house is miraculous to those who understand. כי הוא עמוק מאוד. The matter is very deep. And I left intentionally the Hebrew, so we see it in the Holy Tongue. הוא מסביר שהקדושה, the holiness, is wrapped in what's called klipa, in the forces of Satan. Let me explain this to you. Very simple, because you hear this term again and again and again, and you will see it again and again in the book. Klipa. What is klipa? Klipa are the forces of a Satan that have to be overcome. This is the simplest explanation that I can give you. Everything that is holy has around it a barrier that Satan put. Why? Because in order to reach holiness, you have to strive for holiness, right? In order to reach Kedusha, you have to reach. Nothing is going, if something is given to you and it's holy and you don't have to work for it, it's no longer holy. You know why? Because there was no human effort to reach the holiness. That's why anything that is holy of Kedusha always will have around this the klipa, the klipa. So what was holy? What was holy in Egypt? What was holy in Egypt is the children of Israel and the redemption. What is the klipa? The bondage of Egypt. The bondage, the yoke of Egypt, of Pharaoh. Pharaoh is a picture of a Satan himself. And you're going to see some things in the book that will make you shocked. Gog and Magog is prophesied in Exodus. Listen to this. It says, all the holiness in the world is wrapped around haklipa, kruchot ze bazo. In essence, it's hard to know what is the klipa and what is holiness because they're almost inseparable. Ad she'aklipa, I'm in the second line. Ad she'aklipa atzma hi notenet koach lakdusha. Listen to this, brothers and sisters. I got to explain to you what it says here. The klipa itself, it says, give strength to holiness. Well, what does that mean? Satan give strength to holiness? Yes. Klipa, adversity, calamity, pain, suffering have a way to awaken the soul, to awaken the neshama, to awaken the holy spark, to return back to God for Kedusha. Are you following what I'm telling you? Klipa noga, meaning a klipa that causing you to wake up, is a good klipa. Because it's a klipa that causes you to change your action, to change your life, to change your walk, to change your trajectory. Sometimes when we receive in our own life tzara, there are two ways that we can act upon the tzara. We can either turn away from God and become depressed and maybe become angry, or it might, just might, cause us to rise up again. And somehow what the Maharal of Prague is explaining is to send Moshe into Egypt is for the reason of bursting the klipa within the heart of the children of Israel from their own inside. Are you following what I'm telling you? Right now in Israel, the klipa has awakened. I remember I'm sitting with a friend of mine, an Orthodox Jew in Israel. He says, "What are you talking to me about Mashiach? Look at this. Mashiach is already here. We have everything. Look at Yerushalayim." He lived in the West Bank. And I told him, I told him, no, you are under illusion, false illusion. You see what it's causing you to do, what is causing us to do, a false sense of security, pride, arrogance. You see, those are all representing those things. So what God does, he is sending some klipot, abundance, pain, suffering, Hamas, Hezbollah, you name it. He's sending those things so that we will have a force awakening on inside of us. He's giving strength to Kedusha. And that's the question that I have for all of us today as we watch the calamity that is taking place in the world. Is our own life waking up for holiness right now, or is waking up for Egypt spirit? Which spirit is impacting us right now? Which spirit? This is an important question to us. I pray that you are waking up right now for the force of Kedusha in your own life. Listen to that. Let's continue on. It is powerful. A klipa is giving strength to holiness to make it broken from the world. This says here, Gvurat Hashem says, והוא קושר זאת בפסוק שנאמר על ידי יעקב. The connection for Moses' life is found in Genesis chapter 25, verse 26, where it says, וידו אוחזת בעקב עשיו, and his hand is holding the heel of Esau. And he explained the following. מסביר שהדבר, the manner of the Geulah, the manner of redemption, resemble pri. Pri in Hebrew is fruit. It resembles a fruit. When the fruit who built in Islam, meaning he is not fully ripened, who betoch aklipa. Let me stop it there. When the fruit is not fully ripened, is inside the klipa. One of my favorite things to do in my free time is going with the rabbits, and we like to hike. You know, she's the athletic type of human being. So the other day we were walking, and she told me, I found the most amazing pecan tree down the side of the road. Thousands of pecans. I said to her immediately, let's get the bucket and let's start filling. They're just falling in a public area. The problem is that many of them, remember the pecans, they have like a green shell outside of them. Some of them were still inside the green shell. So that means that those are not ripe. They are not ripened. They are not ready to be taken even. They need to burst out. They need to burst out of this klipa. And this bursting up have a name in Hasidut. It's called Itorerut. To wake up. You're going to read a lot of the book about Itorerut, about the waking up that need to be happened. And anybody right now who is watching me and watching everything that is happening in the world since October the 7th and is not in a stage of itorerut, spiritual awakening, I'm telling you something, you are missing the boat. This is the time that our itorerut have to be so strong, because what it says here, again, in Gvurot Hashem, it says, when you are inside the klipa, okay, listen to this. Let's look again at Gvurot Hashem. It says, ובתוך הקליפה, עד שהפרי גדול ועומד על שלמותו. Wow. Wow. Meaning, let me explain this. It will remain inside the klipot until the fruit has grown up inside enough to be able to burst outside. In essence, the Geulah, this fruit is us. It's a picture of us. It's a picture of Itorerut. When will Mashiach come? Yeshua said, nobody knows the time. Why? Because it's depending upon your Itorerut. Until it will come to its fullness. Well, what is the fullness? That's the fullness of the Gentiles. Look at this. The Maharal of Prague is telling us the same thing that Rav Shaul is telling us. The same word for word. The fullness is going to lead for the salvation of Israel. I don't see right now Itorerut among the Gentiles. I'm sorry, I don't see it. We're going from church to church, trying to tell them about what's happening in Israel, and now it's awakening for them. I'm trying to get, how many books I give freely for pastors. No. All what we have to worry is about the rapture right now. Wake the heck up. Church, wake up. Israel, wake up. Because only the awakening from the inside, meaning a revelation, only then the Geulah will be able to come. And that's what he says. And look how the Maharal of Prague finished. And I'm concluding with the Maharal. He said, Ka'asher ha'pri gadol, meaning when the fruit reaches fullness, nifseda aklipa mikoach gidul ha'pri. Wow. The klipa will be taken off because the fruit has been growing up inside in such a power that the klipa will come. This is not just a picture of Israel, but it's also a picture of Mashiach. In essence, Israel have to simmer up until it's came to a boiling point. Why did God send to the nations first? Why did he send to the Egypt first? Now you get the answer. Now you should understand. He had to be with the nations the last 2,000 years to simmer up with his love for the Jewish people. And maybe, just maybe, even to provoke the Jewish people to jealousy, so that they will call upon him as he walk away. You see, there is a plan. Is this whatever happened to Israel have to happen to the Mashiach? It's the same picture. And Maharal of Prague continue. Let's read the next one. He says, "Umelech Mashiach." This is unbelievable, and everything I'm showing you now will be in the new book. It's going to be incredible. You got to get the Fall of Edom. Melech, Mashiach, Yoshev Imam B'Medina. He's sitting with them in Edom. מלכות המשיח נגרר אחר הדבר שבו העדר. כי מצד שהעדר דבוק במלכות אדום מקבל העולם מלכות מלך משיח. Wherever Mashiach is, brothers and sisters, wherever Mashiach is, that will be the kingdom. He went to the kingdom of Edom for the purpose of growing up and preparing for the salvation of Israel. In essence, this period that is with the Gentiles is equivalent to the period that Moshe Rabbeinu had to go to be with Yitro in Midian. You see, it's necessary to prepare Mashiach but more than preparing Mashiach, to prepare those who are going to receive the Geulah, the children of Israel. Moses had to go away for a season. It had to become tough in order for the Jewish people, as it says in Exodus 2, to cry out. How far it's going to go right now in Israel? People are asking this question. How far is it going to go? It's going to go as far as needed for Israel to cry out. And when Israel cry out, he will show up. It is simple as that. Understand it. And that's what it says. Listen to that. Read with me. It says, Nigrar malchut Mashiach el Edom. He is gravitated to Edom. זה ככתוב, שם יראה עגל, שם ירבץ. It's actually quoting Isaiah chapter 27 verse 10. And he is equating King Messiah to a calf. Well, the calf, when he's in a calf, is not fully ready. He has to be baked in, meaning grow up to become a full mature cow. Mashiach is like the egel, he's not ready. So what do you have to do? He had to go to Edom to get ready so that his people will get ready. Moshe Rabbeinu had to be in Egypt in order for the Jewish people to suffer, to be ready enough for a Goel. Wow, wow. Listen to what it says. Kasher לא נמצא עדיין בשלמות מעלתו. He is still not in his fullness during this time. כמו עגל. You see, we're talking a lot about the fullness of the Jews, the fullness of the Gentiles, but the one thing we forgot to speak about is the fullness of Mashiach. He himself has to go through a process of fullness, and his process of fullness is until Israel call upon him. So look what happened the last 2,000 years. This Jew raised up to the highest rank, Yeshua, he loved and revered, and he's going to destroy the system that love and revere him the most. Because as you're going to see, the majority of this system, not all, I don't want to say all of Christianity committed this sin, but the majority of this system ultimately rejected his people. They loved Moses, but they hated Moses' brother. Just like the church today, love Jesus, hate Jewish people, hate the brothers of Jesus. You can't have it, and he's angry with this, and he's going to judge those who reject and turn against Israel, especially those who are doing it in the name of Jesus. And before he says that's science fiction, let me admit not only that it's not a science fiction, this is happening today. It's happening today in front of our eyes. I'm a witness for that. So he is still have to be like a calf and go through this process. Let's continue to read. לפיכך, יושב עמם במדינה. שהרי כרוך וקשור בעדר שלהם, והעדר שלהם מביא לקבל מלכות אחרת. Wow. He is sitting with them temporarily, but the one who is sitting with, Maharal of Prague is telling us, are going to go and put themselves under another kingdom. They are not of Israel. They did not belong to Israel. Let's call it the kingdom of the church. And let me tell you, the day that you remain with the church, I know this message today is not a fun or easy message for you today, but I am calling to I'm not telling you to leave physically your church, but I am issuing to you a warning. Break out of the system of Christianity that reject Judaism and reject Israel. And it is a plague today. In most of the church, he's saying here, this is a kingdom. And listen to this. And then he says, and I quote, "V'zeh sheramzu chachamim." This is what our sages have hinted for. Shehu HaMashiach, that is the Messiah. Yoshev al petach hamedidah shel Romi. Is sitting at the gates of Rome. הראה לו הקשר המשיח שהוא דבק מחובר בעצמו על מלכות רביעית בסוף שלהם. That is scary. The Messiah showed them that somehow he is connected for this fourth kingdom, for the kingdom of Rome. וזהו שאמר הבטחה של מדינה. And this is what he meant when he says, this is the end of the city. שהעדר כרוך בסוף. This is the end of them. You hearing what I'm saying to you? He is saying here, this is the end of them. The end is imminent. The end is coming. People of God, wake up and line yourself with Yaakov today. Do not compromise Yaakov, and do not think that he's coming to save the church. He is not. He's coming to wage war on all who turn their back on Yaakov. And sadly and tragically, that is include the majority of the church. Thankfully, there will be a remnant who will become Yaakov in those days. And you better start practicing today while you can. I want to see the fall of Edom, number one. Make it visible. Stop using social media on nonsense. Promote those things. Use your voice. Speak to people. Stand for Israel. Do not be silent. And take upon yourself the identity of Jacob while there is still time and while there is still opportunity, because the end of Rome is coming. The end of Edom is coming. He's saying this to us, brothers and sisters. We should know this. Why was Moses sent there? Why Moses sent to Egypt? Why Yeshua is with the Gentiles today? The Maharal of Prague conclude, and I will conclude with him. Listen to this. The Kedusha is being birthed inside the reality that opposes her. But in the end of the day, the fact that we are allowing holiness to overcome Satan will stand. Therefore, in the days of Messiah, the word of Ovadiah will be fulfilled. Next slide. It says in the end of Ovadiah. Next slide. Here we go. For liberators shall march up on Mount Zion to wreak judgment on Mount Esav, and the dominion shall be God. Brothers and sisters, I have a question for you today. Are you the liberator of Zion? Are you the liberator of Mashiach? You see, it does not say the liberator, it said the liberators, because what sparked the Geulah, what sparked the coming of the Mashiach is the fruit growing inside. You today able to overcome the klipot in your own life. Stop sinning, stop slandering, stop lashon hara, do mitzvot, give tzedakah, serve. When you do that, you make the fruit growing, and you start the process of Geulah today by becoming the liberator of Zion, of Yerushalayim. And then it says that in this time, the fullness of the kingdom of HaKadosh Baruch Hu will be only when the berur of Esav when the remnant of Esau will come out. And that's what he is calling upon each and every one of you to do today. For you to become the remnant. This is Romans 11, brothers and sisters. When the remnant of the Gentiles will become the liberator of Zion, then the Geulah will start. Look at this slide and look what I said. When the Geulah will come. When will Mashiach come? It says, when the liberators come, then, I'm reading from the Hebrew, only then the war of Gog and Magog will start. And two Mashiachs, the two groups, Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David, and the seventh shepherd of Israel will come to redeem Israel. And they will go up in these times to Mount Esau to judge it. And in this day, to Adonai will be the kingdom, and all will receive the yoke of the kingdom of heaven in these days. In essence, brothers and sisters, the word that I have for you today is simple. You can be the liberator of the Jewish people and the liberator from Galut Mitzrayim. But you have to leave Rome right now. You have to leave this crooked and corrupt system. Mashiach had to go through the same part, the same thing. It was difficult for him. He has to live the luxury. He had to live the life of extravagance in Egypt. They adored him. They allowed him to put the crown of Pharaoh on his head. Believe me, if I stay in the church and I become a Christian Jew, I could have had today a multi-million-dollar ministry. Just teaching not enough of this little of Judaism, just through a few Hebrew words to tickle the ear of Christians and have a mega church if I wanted to do this. But that's not the calling that I have or you have. Our calling is to be the liberators, to be the leader, the klipot. And part of this is to make the fruit from the inside grow up again, and telling the church something is wrong with you. Telling Zion also something is wrong with you, so that the two messiahs can come together. Israel does not believe that Mashiach can win the war for them. The church, they think the Mashiach is not fighting for Israel. He's fighting only for them right now, because he's dispensing Israel and their rapture is imminent. Both sides need to grow inside out, overcoming the klipot of Christianity and the klipot of Judaism, so that in this we can learn what Messiah had to endure. He came to the world as an Egyptian for that reason. He came in Judaism, in a questionable background, with a questionable buried descent. He had to overcome it. Yeshua had to overcome it. Moshe had to overcome it, but he had to come back. And he will come back if we see the liberators working. When we start the process of liberty, I promise you, he will come and he will fight. And the liberty will be complete. Will be complete. I can't wait to put this new book in your hands. I want to pray for you. Avinu Shebashamayim, bring liberty to your people to become the liberator of God's name today. May the liberator will march up to Jerusalem to prepare Mount Esav to what is coming. Remove every inch of Esav Harasha from us. May the fire, the final purification will take place today, so that Esav will be ready to be consumed, and those who coming out of Esav will no longer be Esav. There will be Jacob from now and forever.